We would like to thank the guild Set Sail for Fail for use of their videos within our guides. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Warlords of Draenor raiding guide, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Twin Ogron encounter on Mythic difficulty. Now in order to complete this fight you're going to want to bring 2 tanks, 4 to 5 healers, and then the remaining a mixture of both melee and ranged DPS. There isn't really any preference on what kind of DPS you do bring, but classes that can multi-dot and or cleave do kind of benefit you more in the long run, as the fight will become shorter as you can deal more damage to both bosses which do have a shared health pool. Additionally, if you have not yet seen it, we recommend that you go and check out our flexible mode guide for this encounter, as we're not going to be covering all of the abilities in that much detail, as only a few have changed from the flexible mode versions to Mythic. The core strategy of this fight is the same as the flexible mode encounter, however you do need to make sure that you are adapting to the new abilities and making sure you're dealing with them in the correct manner. The first new ability you're going to have to deal with in Mythic comes from Fimos, and it goes by the name of Arcane Volatility. And what this will do is it will cause him to place a mark of Arcane Volatility on one of the players in your raid, and this will then inflict arcane damage to anyone within 8 yards of the target after 6 seconds. When you do get this debuff placed on you, you need to simply move out of the raid group as fast as you possibly can, and make sure that no one is within 8 yards of you when the Arcane Volatility is about to drop off, as you are going to explode and deal arcane damage to anyone that is nearby. Your healers will also need to make sure that whoever does get the debuff on them is topped off, as it will also deal a moderate amount of arcane damage to the player that does have the debuff. It's also worth noting that you should keep an eye on your debuffs or deadly boss mod warnings, because there is a chance you can get the Arcane Volatility debuff when you have moved out of the raid group, so you don't want to get it, move out, and then assume it's dropped off and then move back in when you've had a second debuff placed on you, so that is just something to be aware of. As well as this new ability, Fimos' Whirlwind ability has also been changed ever so slightly, as it now has an ability called Arcane Vortex. And what this will do is it will cause the whirlwind to draw in nearby players if they are standing near Fimos when the whirlwind is going off. In order to deal with this, you simply need to get your tank to pull Fimos away from the raid group so that players are out of range of the whirlwind, or you need to use movement increasing abilities such as stampeding roars in order to make sure players are able to run away from the whirlwind and not take any damage from it by being pulled into it. And now moving on to the other Twin Ogron, who goes by the name of Pol, you'll find that his shield charge ability has now got a new ability called Arcane Charge. And what this will simply do is it will cause 3 images of Pol to spawn and create a kind of square thing where he spawns, so to speak, and these will mirror the effect of the shield charge, but they will inflict arcane damage and also will cast an arcane slam when they reach the end of their charge, dealing damage to anyone that's nearby. Now this is exactly the same as the shield charge that Pol casts. You simply need to make sure you aren't standing in the line of the arcane versions of him when they are charging towards you, as they are going to deal high amounts of damage to you and potentially kill you. It is quite easy to see where they are going to charge, as they don't run out straight away, the same as Pol. You do have a few seconds of kind of glory time, so to speak, in order to see where they're going to charge and adjust based on where they're facing. And finally, when it comes to new abilities in this fight, Pol's final new ability goes by the name of Arcane Bash, and this will cause him to inflict a debuff upon his current target, which will cause them to take an additional 50% normal damage as arcane. Now, you might think that this will cause you to need a tank switch, but what you will find is that the debuff will actually run off the tank before they have to switch, so he doesn't get 2 debuffs. What you will need to, however, keep in mind is that they are going to be taking 50% of their normal damage additionally as arcane damage. So if your tank's moved away with Fimos and he's casting Whirlwind and he has Arcane Bash on him, then he's going to be taking 50% more damage from that. So you'll need to make sure that suitable cooldowns are being used. One ability that shouldn't really need to be mentioned is the Blaze ability, which will come from the Quake that Fimos is going to cast. And this is mainly because the fire damage you are going to take if you do get hit by this in the Mythic version of the fight is a stupid amount of damage. So you need to do your best to avoid the fire that is coming towards you, otherwise your healers are going to struggle to keep up with the healing requirements of this fight, and also make sure that players aren't dying to the flame debuffs that are getting placed on players. What you will also find throughout this encounter is that certain abilities will line up with each other, so you're going to have to deal with them at the same time. So for example, you could have a quake going off along with the fire everywhere, and you could then also get an interrupting shout, which means if you do get spell locked, you're not going to be able to heal people if they are dying to the quake ability. Or for example, you could end up getting the quake at the same time as the pulverize, so you need to stack up to heal as fast as you can for the quake, and then you'd need to make sure that you are spreading out for the pulverize. Or you could also get the enfeebling roar, which means you need to stack up in front of the boss in order to split the damage, and then you could get like the quake or the pulverize instantly after. So you will need to make sure you are keeping an eye on your timers and the boss's abilities in order to make sure that you are kind of stacking up and spreading out at the right time. The core of this fight is quite simple, it's just making sure that you are executing it correctly, as with any fight really, and making sure that you are dealing with the new mythic abilities in an adequate manner. So that's going to do it for this Warlords of Draenor Mythic raiding guide. Hopefully this guide will help you get a brand new boss kill and get you some shiny 690 item level loot. As always, if you'd like to view a written version of this guide, you can head on over to flaskup.com or click on the link that's in the video description below. So as always, thank you for watching, and if you are interested in future Warlords of Draenor raiding guides, then please do feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.